Coming up on episode 157 of Creative Writing, I'm talking all about launch and scream teams.
I can't go back to sleep, it's almost light. These restless thoughts have kept me up again tonight.
Hello and welcome to Creative Writing. I'm your host, Kirsten Oliphant, and this is the podcast for you, a writer, blogger, or creative who wants to build an online platform without being smarmy. And today I'm going to be talking about launch teams, aka, as some people call them, scream teams. In the last episode 156, I talked about having advanced and beta readers, so ARC and beta readers for your book. And this launch team, this will actually maybe apply as well outside of just books, because I think for lots of products and different things, you might have launches, but this is all about kind of a step beyond just getting your work in the hands of people ahead of time. So we're going to talk all about that. And if you want to find the show notes, you can always go to just the podcast number at Creative Writing. So you're going to go to creativewriting.com/157 for episode 157. Okay, so when you are launching a book, and again, if you're just launching a product as well, you're going to want the help of other people. And this can look like, there's lots of different kinds of launches. This could look like reaching out to other influencers and networking, but you want to have a team of people, or you might want to have a team of people who are going to be your supporters and fans for this. Now, here's the thing. When we're talking about launch teams, it's a little bit beyond just having an ARC team of advanced readers. And that's what I talked about in episode 156. And the reason that I think this is a little different is because it's a few steps beyond just reading the book ahead of time and then reviewing it. So I do have ARC readers. I also have beta readers. So just to review, the beta readers are getting the unproofread copy of my book, and my timeline is super tight. So they're getting it usually less than 2 weeks before my launch date. And then after they get it back, they have it at the same time as the proofreader. I make all the corrections, get the final thing formatted, and then I send it to my advanced readers. And then the day the book is out, I email all those advanced readers and say, hey, the book is out. Can you leave a review? And usually a few days later, I also do that as well. I do have a Facebook group for them, but it's not super active. It's just for a few people who don't really check their email. And then there's people who aren't on Facebook who are just on email. So I use that through my email list. And again, I do have a Facebook group, but it's not very active. So the difference between a launch team or scream team, and I like the term scream team because that kind of encompasses what it's really about, is these are the people who are going to help you promote the book. They're going to go scream all about it. They're your super fans who are going to tell all of their friends about it. So this is a few steps beyond just reading and reviewing. This is people you want to share, and you're kind of getting them as excited and on board about your launch as you are yourself, in hopes that they will do a lot of word of mouth marketing. So here's the reason I don't really have this as much. I do have a Facebook group for, again, my ARC team, and I call it a launch team, but I don't do a lot of this kind of stuff in it. And the reason is this: I'm publishing a book a month. I can't expect realistically right now to have people that are going to constantly want to be excited, because a lot of this whole idea of the scream team and the launch team is the build up to the launch. And I've been doing kind of a slow launch method. So rapid release, once a month I'm releasing, but I'm not making such a big deal and promoting a lot the first couple of days. So I'm not one of those people where I'm like, it's launch day, tell everybody. I usually wait a day or two to tell everybody, and let Amazon kind of sort it out with the algorithm. And then I start heavily promoting after I already have reviews. So then a few days, so I'm in week 2, I launched a book last week, and just now my paid promotions are starting to kick in. So for me, I can't really expect, I'm not making such a giant deal of the launch. I can't expect people to constantly be on when I'm doing this once a month. So if you're releasing really, really quickly, this may not work so well for you. But if you want to have a launch team, they can be really beneficial. And so I'm going to give you guys some tips for doing this, because I've seen some people do this really well. Andy Cumbo Floyd is somebody who is in the Facebook community, and she has done a really good job with her launch team for her latest book. I'm on the launch team, and she's constantly posting things that are not annoying. Okay, so tip 1, don't be annoying. And I don't have a list of tips. I'm just tossing them out there. So there's not going to be tips 1 through 5. It's just tips. But don't be annoying in there. You got to kind of find that balance of posting a lot and not being annoying. So she's posting the celebrations like, yay, look where we are today. She's posting interesting tidbits and things like that, sharing things that she is writing about the launch on her blog, which is andilit.com, ANDILIT.com. So you can find things in there. And I've shared about this in the Facebook group. And really, when you're doing this, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get people to sort of catch that same fire and passion that you have for your work. That's the goal. And so, whether you're doing it on a Facebook group or a Slack community, often there's going to be some kind of community aspect so people can actually see each other. It's not just you sending emails. This is where you want to have an actual group. And the goal is, like I was saying with Andy, to post things that get people passionate, to post things that are getting people excited without being annoying. They're not all just asks, they're celebrations. I've seen groups like this where authors are giving you're getting the arc obviously out there, but sometimes they'll give sneak peeks of other things. Sometimes before the arcs even come out, they're giving samples. I've seen bonus material shared as well. Whatever it takes to get people excited. Sometimes it's a giveaway, but realize you're not supposed to give incentives for reviews. So if you're doing some kind of giveaway, be very, very careful that in no way is it related to reviews on Amazon, or you could get in trouble with Amazon, and you really don't want to violate those terms of service, because for most of us, especially if you're publishing independently or just period, you need Amazon. You need to not be kicked off of Amazon. And so, don't violate their terms of service with that. But you can have giveaways for people, maybe you're rewarding people for sharing on Facebook. Whatever it is, you want to keep some kind of active stuff that's not just asking things. And this does take time. And so if you're going to have one of these, again, this is why I have a really quick turnaround time. And so this just would not make sense for me. I would spend way too much time. If you're launching less frequently, this makes a lot more sense for you. And you do need to give it time, because it is hard to build a community that's excited. You do have to, someone was just asking this about Facebook specifically. How do you get people talking? Well, people aren't going to see your group in the feed the same way they don't see a page in the feed unless they start interacting with it. And they'll see the group more than the page. If they start interacting, I don't know if you've noticed this. If I comment or like a post in a group, all of a sudden I see that group constantly in my newsfeed on Facebook. So you need to get people engaged. So you need to start posting content that may not always be related. Like maybe you're having some questions and answers and things like that, or memes, things that just get people talking that may not all relate to your book, so that people start to see the group in their feed. So you need to be engaged. You need to give it some time. And I think the biggest thing about launches is it needs to not feel like work. It should feel like a party. And that's something I learned from Beth Ann from Brilliant Business Moms, is she talked about launching being like a party. You can do cover reveals. You can do those sneak peeks, like I mentioned, anything that's just getting people pumped up about your thing. It's not work. It's not a chore. And if you are thinking of it that way, it's going to translate through. Instead, you are, and I think this is where authors struggle. Authors sometimes feel like marketing is like yucky. It's the yucky part of everything, but really it's connecting with your readers. It's not yucky. It's great. And so you need to kind of rewire your brain to not think of it as yucky, because if you're feeling like, man, I hate to ask this of people, that's going to come through in the way you run these launch teams. You have to be super excited about your book. Realize that you are giving your readers a gift, and they want that gift. They want to be there. They want to read it. Make it a celebration, not work. And I think that that's the thing that is really kind of the main key part of this, is getting that attitude and that momentum and the passion in there. And then, tips for this, you want to make the sharing easy, like whatever you want people to do. So we're moving past reviews. So since we talked a little bit about that, with the, ARC readers, yes, you want reviews from people. You want more than that. You want them to tell their friends in whatever way they like to tell their friends. And so you want to give them things to share. So if you're in a Facebook group, the hard thing is if you post something there and it's a closed group, which I would recommend, closed, not secret and not public, but closed, they can't share it. Now, because it's the privacy issues with Facebook, just how it's set up. So if you have something on your page, if you have a page, you can share that into the group, and then people can click on the little timestamp. And you may have to explain this to them because a lot of people don't know, especially if they're not like power Facebook users. I know a lot of people who are still just figuring this out. They can click on the little timestamp from where your page shared it and then share it from there. And so you want to make these things super easy because otherwise people aren't going to share. So do whatever you can. Create images, create graphics, give them emails, give them templates. Tell them specifically what you're hoping that they'll do. You can run contests. You can do celebrations for 6 people shared on Facebook. Oh, this post now has X number of shares. When it gets to 25 shares, I'm going to give away 4 free books. Whatever it is, make it easy and celebrate or reward the people however you can. Again, in a way that doesn't violate Amazon's terms of service. So this is not, I'm really not going into a ton of depth on this because I think you can come up with these ideas for yourself of whatever this is going to look like. But in general, I just wanted to touch on this really quickly in a whole episode because it is different than the beta readers. It is different than just advanced readers where you're trying to get reviews. This is where you're trying to really build, kind of harness those super fans and build the momentum of your book by using word of mouth marketing. When you do this, you can have pop-up groups where it's a group and then you end the group once the book has launched. So it's like for each book, like each book has one. Or you can have a group that is around all the time where you use it for launches. Now, the hard part is between launches, if you're not posting things, people stop seeing the group. So the launch team Facebook group that I had for my Emma St. Clair books, because I'm not using it, when I was not planning to publish as frequently as I am back when I started, I was using the group more often then. And then as I started doing it every month, I was like, I can't keep up with this and I don't want them to keep up with this. They're going to burn out. So I stopped using it as much. But now when I post it there, no one sees it. So that's the downside of having kind of an evergreen group for launch teams or scream teams is if you're not constantly engaging that group, it's going to be really hard to gain that traction again when you have a launch. People don't see your group in the feed, no matter what they click in terms of what notifications they want from Facebook. It just doesn't happen. So you need to think about whether you want a pop-up group for each book or if you want one group and you want to keep it going because that's important between the launches that you have. So if you're thinking about doing this, again, realize that it's all about your attitude. It's about harnessing those super fans and their power, and it's making it a celebration of your book, not a whole lot of just extra work. And these can be very, very effective, but it really starts to, I think, come into play when you have super fans who really love your work. This may not be, maybe you start it when you first start writing, but it may take a little while to get there when you've started to build up that fan base. And I think this is, once you're building that fan base, that's when these groups can be really powerful because you have people on your side and you are going to need to be more personally engaged. So if you're not interested in that, don't build a scream team. Don't try to build a launch team. Just have your ARC readers, have them do the reviews, but don't necessarily try this because you're going to be miserable. If you don't like engaging in this way with your people, and it's not going to work the same way if you have a personal assistant do it. This is something that needs to be hands-on. So if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But this can be a fantastic way to harness that word of mouth marketing. So I hope this super brief episode is helpful for you guys, just in terms of thinking about whether this is something you want to do and where and how to run it. I, again, am not doing one of these, but at some point may. But yeah, I've got some super fans. I've got people who are like, I've read every one of your books and I need more. When are they coming? Those are the people you want on these kinds of launch teams. And, in this day and age, word of mouth marketing is priceless. So if you can get something like this going, it's fantastic. All right, I'm closing out the episode. If you want to find the show notes for this, you can go to creativewriting.com/157. I'll have some links to some different groups and some different tools that might help. If you want to sign up to get my emails every week in your inbox to hear about podcast episodes, resources, tips, and tools, you can go to creativewriting.com/quick fix. And if you want to join my community, which is not a Scream team, it is just a community of fabulous people like yourself, then you can go to creativewriting.com/community. Thank you so much to Jasmine Commerce of JasmineCommerceMusic.com for providing the tunes and the intro and outro of this show. Now is the time for you to go out, create content that you love, and serve your people well.